Hey guys, welcome to this new video and in this video we'll be checking out what's the difference between the power pivot and the power query, which is most important building blocks of the Power BI basically. And interviewers basically ask this question to test your knowledge on the Power BI. Okay, before that, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, you can subscribe to my channel because I'll be posting interview based questions on the Power BI and SQL as a data analyst. If you are giving the interview as a data analyst in Power BI and SQL, you can subscribe to my channel and share to your friends, which will give me motivation to create these type of videos for you, because these videos take too much time to create. So this will give me motivation if you subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon. Okay, so let's get started. What's the difference between the power pivot and the power query? First we will see theoretically how you can answer that, and then we can see practically. Okay, so what's the primary function of power query? So power query, when we do power query, it's like the operation of ETL, so data extraction, transformation and loading done through the power query engine. Whereas power pivot, when we do the data modeling and some calculations in Power BI, it is done through the power pivot add-on in the Power BI. So these two are basically add-on from the Excel. So in Excel also we have the power pivot, we have the power query. Okay, and in Power BI we have one more thing, that is Power View. So where you are creating all your reports and visuals, that is Power View. So Power Query, Power Pivot and Power View, these three differences you should know. Okay, so what's the purpose of Power Query? So when you are preparing your raw data by cleaning and transforming it, where we use the Power Query. Whereas in Power Pivot we have to create the relationship, or if you are doing some calculation through the DAX, then we are using Power Pivot beside that. Okay, so typical task is data cleansing, filtering, column renaming, data formatting, all these transformation we can do in Power Query. Okay, and in Power Pivot, basically building data models, creating relationship using DAX, all these we are doing through the Power Pivot. Data connectivity, it connect to multiple sources. Okay, but here we use the cleansed data after loading from Power Query. So first step is Power Query and then we have the Power Pivot. Okay, so once the data is cleansed, then only we used in the Power Query for creating our model, or for creating our model, or for creating our calculated columns. Okay, so behind the language, what's the language? It's like M language, automatically generated when we do some transformation. I will show you in the practical example. And here we are using data analysis expression, DAX expression, for calculation. So in Power Pivot we are using DAX expression, whereas in Power uh, Query we are using the M language. Okay, so what's the output? Loads transform data into the Power BI or Power Pivot, and it will output the structured data model for visualization. So after this we will do all our reporting purposes after creating the model in the Power Pivot. Okay, uh, so example is like example of transformation, like removing the duplicates from the data, changing the data type, splitting all the columns we do in Power Query. Whereas in Power Pivot we basically do calculate total sales, profit margin, year over year growth, if we need. So we do through the DAX expression. Okay, best used for handling messy data or unstructured data from the multiple sources. And Power basically Power Pivot we used basically for defining the relationship. Okay, so Power Query is not just the ETL, what we do in the ETL, and Power Pivot is basically data modeling and all the calculations. So let's see an example. We will load some data tables into our uh, Power BI. So import data from the Excel. So I have two tables which I put on the desktop, sales table and the product table. So we'll load these into our data model. Okay. We can see we have the transaction ID, product ID, customer ID, transaction date and sales amount. So we will load the data of the sales table. Let's load our other table, that is product table. Okay, so let's click on this transform data. So when we click on this, the Power Query editor, you can see here, right? You can see that Power Query editor have been opened. So this is like in the behind Power Query engine is used. Okay, so this is all Power Query. And if we do any transformation here, okay, so that will be like done in the M language behind. Okay, so for example, if we rename this column to other column, okay, we not this, basically we rename this one. Okay, transaction date to maybe T date. Okay, so when we do this, you can see this tab is added here. Okay, and this language is called the M language. So Power BI engine basically done this through the M language. Okay, so this is like a Power Query. Once we do this, we will close and apply. And let's see what is Power Pivot. So Power Pivot is basically what we do here. Okay, so there here we can create the relationships. We can create new columns in these tables, basically sales table and product table. So if we create some new columns to the DAX, new calculated columns to the DAX, it's like basically we are doing in Power Pivot. Okay, so Power Pivot is used for data modeling and calculation. And one more thing, here what we are doing it here, it's like a Power View engine behind the Power BI. Okay, so interviewer can ask you what's the difference between Power Query versus Power Pivot versus Power View, or they can ask you where the M language is used, where is the DAX is used behind that, or the third question, they can ask you it's like what are the building blocks of Power BI. Okay, so you have to answer the differences in these type of question. Hope this is clear, guys, and kindly like and subscribe to my YouTube video, and also you can share this video to your friends so that you can help your friends also to secure a data analyst job or a Power BI job. Okay, so let's meet into the next video. Thank you and have a nice day.